Okay. So this week I have decided to go through a recent blog post that I did. So in case you guys haven't seen it, we're pretty regularly posting blogs. This one is going to be about Mass Update. So I'm going to go through these two examples that I did um, in a few minutes. But the blogs are just the What's New section of Proplanner's website. As you can see, we basically post any major version updates and then um, case studies, different features we've added, stuff like that. In case you're brand new to the system, which I doubt based on the content of this webinar, um, just so you know, Assembly Planner is basically a system where we're trying to have all the information you could possibly want about the process with which you're using to build something. So you can see in this little video on our site, tools, parts, time, um, ergonomics, lean considerations, all that stuff should be um, put into the process of how you should be building something. Then you can move it around, whatever, right? What I'm going to focus on today is basically what you do when you get a change that is small but affects a lot of different things. Um, in most systems, if you're doing work instructions in Excel, something like that, you have to go find every single line, every single file, whatever, and do that update. But in Assembly Planner, because it is database driven, um, it's pretty easy to go through and just make mass changes all at once. So the first one that I'm going to do, we're in this parent. Parent doesn't really matter, right? So we're in the component module. This is where all of our items, bombs, all that stuff is stored. Right now, what I'm going through and doing is I'm saying anywhere that we have a certain screw, it's this screw, we're changing suppliers or something, right? So we're changing the number of this screw. We need the exact same number of screws. We need it to be effective at the same. We need it to be effective as of the time we switch over, right? Um, and we need it to happen in every single parent. So this parent is one of them. If I go into this and I look to see where all this is used, you can see I have all these parents. This isn't a huge example, right? There's 10 parents. But rather than go into each one of these and change it, time in, time out, make sure my quantity is all the same, whatever. What I can do is I can go through and do a mass update. So the concept is you use mass update to filter down to a set selection. And once you do that, you hit go and it goes through and does all the processing for you. So another thing right now, what we have is a whole way of creating a bank of updates. So if you're commonly going in and doing similar updates, so you're going in and you're changing out hardware, you're going in and you're adding options, you're adding models wherever you find previously used ones, right? We actually just did a bunch of testing on this because we just did some updates on the backend side to deal with some security stuff, basically limiting the time of open connections. But this is like every possible option that we could think of that somebody would want to do. Most places don't have this. Most of the time, they're saving these as historical data, right? So I want to save this. I want to save the study so that if I ever have an issue, I can go back and look at exactly what I did. For now, I'm going to create a new one. So I'm going to be adding this part number. Wherever I find this part number. Reason for change, supplier change. So down here we have all of our key stuff in the header. So what do I want to update? I want to update an item property. Only option is item. We'll go through the other option next. And then I can set it to public, restricted, or private. Public means anyone in the system that has rights to mass update can see mine. Restricted means only people with elevated privileges and myself can see it. And then private means only I can see it and the administrator of the system. But I think I have everything set up here. You can either hit selection or next at the bottom to go to the next one. So this is a selection screen. What you want to do in here is go through, this is the standard advanced search form used anywhere else throughout the software. Because I'm doing an item search, it's the item variety. The templates will still be there from other places in the system you've used advanced search on item or bomb. Again, I'm going to just do my own. So I'm going to go to tools, customize criteria. What I want is anywhere, which I've already done this, but anywhere where the child ID is something, right? That's what I'm looking for. So what I'm going to do is anywhere where the child ID equals this value, I want to do a replace. And I'm going to check this box that says fetch bomb records. Otherwise, it only brings in the item records, not actually bills of material. If I hit search, I find those 18 places where I had it before. And then I'm going to click add all. It'll show it in here. So these are all the rows I'm going to affect, is basically what this means. This is my selection. So no matter what update I run next, it's only going to affect these rows. Even if I were to take one out here, right? If I don't actually want that one, and I hit remove, even though it fits the criteria that I'm about to make, because these say delete, for example, I know that they're not actually necessary. They're old. So they won't be affected even though they're going to fit the description of the update I'm about to do. Within change, you can go in and select what you want to do. If you choose header information, it's basically every single item in bomb field. That's not what I want right now. What I want to do now is copy the bomb records. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the exact same quantity that's in the bomb now. I'm going to use the newly copied records for any other updates that I'm going to do. I'm going to time it in as of Sunday. And what I want to do is replace one item with another. So I put in my old item, put in my new item, and I hit add. You can see that it adds it down here. So this is exactly, again, because it's database driven, it's exactly how database updates work. So I can add as many of these as I want, and it's just going to do them in order. So this wouldn't work because this item doesn't exist. But if I were to do this, it would first look for this, replace it with that. Then it would look for it again, and it would replace it with another thing. So you can stack updates. So a common example is if I do this, but then I want to append like a change number, what I could do is go in here and say, okay, I want to use the newly copied bomb records for subsequent updates, right? And I want to go in and I want to say that the, what number do I want? The ECN number is going to be blank, and I want it to be my initials in 001. I'm saying that I did this change. If you have questions about it, come talk to me. Right. So what it's going to do is it's going to replace the item, and then it's going to go in and add to this ECN number field JDR 0001. If I go to run or hit next, you can see my update statements. I have 2 of them. I have 16 in my selection. This is just all the jobs that have run in the past. Once mine runs, it'll show up in here. It'll show you any errors or warnings that have happened. So you can see down here some of the stuff that we've had where we tried to do invalid things. Basically, a history record of all the jobs that have run. If I hit queue job, it's going to queue it up here, and it's running in the background. All right, the second mass update I'm going to do, hopefully much simpler. I'm just going to add a model anywhere I find a different one. So this is the case where you have a model come out and it's almost identical to another one. So you just add a model anywhere you see the previous one and then go in and make changes as needed. So that's my old model. This is my new model. On this one, I'm going to switch to activity as the entity. My selection, again, it's going to be a little bit different. Because this is the activity advanced search and not the item. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to look for anywhere where an activity model list. Oh, wait, no, I don't want that. Activity ID equals that. So you can see there's tons and tons of stuff. I don't actually want to do all that. What I want to do is only the routing that I am responsible for. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to change it to, has to start with engine. My routing is called engine subs. So it has to begin with engine. Now, if I search that, you can see it went from 8,000 to 103. Still a lot. I don't want to go in and do all this manually, right? But at least I'm not hitting everybody else's work with something they're not ready for. So I'm going to add all these. Again, you can go through and see where all you're going to make this change. Within the change, this is activity. So I have way more entity types. We can go through each of these. If you have any questions about it, just ask, refer to the manual, whatever. For this one, I'm going to stick with model option mapping. I do want to update consumption. I do want to update resources. What I want to do is where I find one, I would like to add the next one. Again, I can build a query list. You can add more filtering rules at the bottom if you want. But in general, this is basically it. Add this, where that. Go to run. I have 103 that are going to get this one statement. Hit queue job. Now, if I go into my routing, engine subs, I'm going to filter by that model, choose an activity that has that. And what I should see is this new model show up, right? I haven't filled out all the details of what that new model is, but it's in there now. So if I were to run a work instruction, for this engine sub 1, and I run it for my new model, I should have a starting point to work from, right? If I need to make any changes, I can go do that. But if it is exactly the same, then I'm done. I've added my new model. It's exactly the same as the old year. Keep doing running changes as we go. But for now, it's exactly the same. All right. Well, I figured that one would be quick. So I think that's all I'm really going to go through. If you have any questions, again, look in the manual, send an email to our support emails or any of our posted emails online. Thanks for watching.